Now, during the week, we had an email in from Steve in New South Wales, and he asked, I'm a first-time investor that can't afford most of the purchase of past properties that you show, as I've only got a budget of $300,000. What are some of the alternative investments? Now, lucky we've got Charles Tarbey on, and I pre-warned you about this question.
Yes.
So we're actually going to flick some photos up. One of your offices has literally just got something.
Yeah,
tell us about it.
I was really blown away. We had an awards night in Queensland, and the young sales guy, Grant Goodrum from Caloundra office, which is owned by Luke and Kath Carter. And he was talking about the unit prices, so you really have to send me some information on this, because the Sunshine Coast is not unlike the Gold Coast. It's an area that has a higher level of owner-occupier than the Gold Coast. It's got the airport straight in there. It's got a whole lot of resources, Noosa above you and Brisbane below you and so on. And I couldn't believe it, $299,000 for a 120 square metre unit, twice the size of the unit we were talking about before.
We'll try and bring up some of these photos here as well.
And it was
others coming up now.
$335 a week rent, I think it was, and that's above what you were saying earlier, $500
so it's over
a week,
5%, yeah.
$500,000.
Yeah.
I just found it quite remarkable, because it's almost completely opposite to where the market is.
Yeah. We're getting some of the photos up there now of this is what you look like if you work out at the beach and you buy a property there.
I had to shave for that photo, but thank you for showing it anyway.
But you know what, to the investor, that is a great opportunity to get in. As the same points we were going over before are very important to cover again, is that we want capital growth first and foremost, but you want yield to be able to survive long enough to feel the capital growth without having to tinge in with your own income.
You know, Anthony, just down the road, literally, you know, from Noosa, it's not far away at all, and Noosa prices are really considerably high, and the Melbourne market gets in there. So when you see something sitting in the middle like that, it's a really important opportunity for people to start looking at those sorts of properties.
Yeah, I'm a like as well, that sort of income.
We talked about super before, and the majority of people haven't got that much money in super, have they?
No.
So if they've got 1 or 150, a 300 grand property is roughly what they need at, say, 50 or 60% gearing.
Correct. That's an easy start to get into, and again, in an area which has got so much lifestyle appeal about it, and also too, again, the Sunshine Coast is going nowhere but up in terms of people's palate and their.
The wave's moving through now. It's moving up through the north of Brisbane and up through Redcliffe, all those areas. The wave's moving through, and again, you know that you're going to get capital growth there, because there's a very strong density of population. You don't have the same apartment complexes as you have elsewhere, so the amount of stock is there, but it's not overstocked, and I think that's an important part of it.
Yeah, 120 square metres as well, so it's a fantastic size apartment.
Yeah,
so does beach always sell, do you think? If you hold on long enough, and obviously the Gold Coast is a volatile market, but does beach always sell?
Well, it helps a great deal. You talk about Coogee earlier on. This is 300 metres walk to the beach. I know you only get a glimpse, and we real estate agents talk about a stone's throw to shops and schools, which
and
means
they've got some athletes that are throwing those stones.
Yeah.
But it is literally 300 metres, so it's very hard to find something like that. And when I saw it, it really stood out for me, based on what we're seeing across the marketplace right now.
And at $335, per week on a $300,000 property, you can afford to hold it for many, many years to wait for your capital gains truck to come
absolutely.
in. Yeah, I like it.
Sounds good. Now, we're talking earlier on, Charles, about APRA, and maybe this will launch into the clearance rates. Have you guys seen much change over the last couple of months with these APRA changes?
I think there are fewer people bidding at auction, but there's still plenty of people bidding, which means that any property that goes up is still going out to sell. I was at an auction on the weekend. I bid on behalf of my daughter. We successfully purchased a property. We paid a little bit more than... Thank you. We paid a little bit more. I don't buy property off myself. It was at arm's length, so it was interesting to see. So we paid a little bit more, but when I looked at the research of the property and what it was worth, what it was purchased for, how many years ago, it's an easy transaction.
I'm with Charles on this one. I mean, the APRA reforms may take off a small piece of the market, but the general market will always be bidding on it, and will continue to try and
it's strong. All the talk in the paper on the weekend was the market slowed down, the heat's come over, and it just defies all of the numbers that are out there. The clearance rates, if you want to launch into that, sorry, I'm going ahead, this is your show, away you go, sorry.
That's all right, far away. No, I was going to say about kind of the advice you're giving to your kids as a father and a real estate investor. You're telling your kids, just buy in the market, just get in.
Well, if the the property was sold for $860 and it was purchased for $449 9.5 years ago. So I'm just going to go with the stats. And if it's held long enough, it's going to go okay. And it's an apartment that my daughter can live in and enjoy a nice lifestyle. So I think at the end of the day, it's important that when you buy in the strong areas. And it's pretty hard. This is in Wollstonecraft, so it's very, very hard for those sorts of property values to really go down given what's going on in Sydney.
Yeah, I agree on that. Wollstonecraft's a great area as well. Top.
Good. Anthony likes it as well. You go your auction rates. You've got about 2 minutes now.
Okay, thank you, no problems at all. Clearance rates were 77%. Now, they say it was cooling. It was up 2 points on last week, 68% last year. So it's higher than last year. So I don't know where they're getting this from, other than to say that 800 properties went up for auction on the weekend, which is almost twice as much as normal. Yep. And there are a lot of vendors out there looking to see whether they can make any extra money. Sydney was the best, 77.8. Melbourne was the best at 78.6. But the incredible ones, Brisbane, 61.8. We talk about that all the time. Canberra, 81.1. Adelaide, 81.4% clearance rate. Tell me where the heat's gone, because I can't see it.
So, sounds good. Stuff coming on the market.
0.41% up.
Charles, you're so generous.
Up. It's wonderful. Only negative 0.47% over this time last year, so we're actually starting to catch. New Zealand is negative 0.8% over this time last year, but up 8.4% this week over last week. In Canterbury, Auckland, those areas are really performing very well.
A good time to get on the market now before the usual summer seasons come, and stock will go up at that time. So it's a good time.
Because when is that market? When is that spring and summer change?
I think it's already here. I mean, there's a heat wave now, isn't it?
Yep.
It's already in.
Okay, residential rents.
They're pretty good. You know, Sydney actually went negative 1.15%, like Perth. It went negative 1.41%. But Victoria was going okay. It evened out. But Brisbane, again, a surprise. The Brisbane market is having a good positive change, up 0.22%. So for the year to date, the rents are down 0.73%. From this week over last week, but the year to date is down 1.92%. So it's not that bad. It's still pretty steady, still pretty strong. But the vacancy rates, which we need to talk about, and they're the ones that are going to impact on the rents.
Let's talk about them then.
Can we talk about those?
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Great timing. 2.99% for Sydney, up. That's climbing
a bit more
than it should. It's great, isn't it? Just perfect. And from that point of view, it's scary. 2.99. Melbourne rising too quickly at 5.71%, and Perth at 6.04%. So the average is lower than last week, but it's still just under 5% at 4.91%. So I'm keeping an eye on Victoria and still keeping an eye on Perth.
And apart from that, everything else is rosy, and we're all happy.
Rosy. Thank you.
Sounds good. Charles Tarbey, Century 21, Anthony Bell from Bell Partners. Good to see you both. And good to see you as well. We'll be back next week. Until then, I'm Chris Gray. Good night.